Hey everyone, welcome to this video. We'll be discussing about a SEBI circular in this particular video related to the revised regulatory framework for angel funds under the AIF alternate investment funds, right? So this is regarding the revised regulatory framework. The framework which used to be there for the angel funds under the AIF regulation is now revised, and this can be important for your examination. So definitely I'll be telling you the areas that can be very important for your examination. So recently only SEBI has released this circular on the website, and it is applicable to all the alternate investment funds, right? Let's have a quick look about the background and the objective. What is the purpose? Basically to improve the ease of doing business, reduce risk, provide operational clarity for the angel funds under the SEBI AIF regulation. So we all know that we are having SEBI AIF regulation. So we need to give operational clarity to the angel funds. Under the SEBI AIF rules. Now before moving ahead, you need to have a crystal clear concepts like what angel funds is all about, what an AIF is. So definitely I'll be telling you that as well. The first thing is AIF alternate investment fund, right? So think of it as a mutual fund. What a mutual fund is doing, they are pooling the investments from multiple individuals and firms, right? That's what we do in AIF as well. What an AIF is doing, they pool the investments from multiple individuals and I can say businessmen, right? So it's an investment vehicle that pool resources, that collects money from investors to invest in a defined policy, Now what an AIF is doing, they are taking money from different individuals, investors and so on, and they are investing the money of their investors, right? Now you think like, sir, ये तो mutual fund में भी होता है, right? You must be thinking like, sir, that तो is happening in the mutual fund as well. So what's different in AIF? That's an alternate investment fund, right? Mutual funds do have multiple restrictions, right? They cannot invest your money in private equity. They cannot invest your money in highly risky asset classes. AIF is not having these kind of restrictions, right? And AIF can definitely invest in different asset classes. It can be risky as well. That's why it's a alternate investment fund. It's not at all a traditional investment fund, right? So there are types of AIF which are classified by the SEBI, category 1, category 2 and category 3. So in category 1 we are having venture capital fund, we are having angel funds and SME funds and so on. In category 2 we are having private equity funds, debt funds, and in category 3 we do have hedge funds and funds that are using complex trading strategies, right? Here we are concerned about the angel funds which are part of category 1. Now the question is, what are angel funds, right? What are angel funds? So angel funds are a category 1 AIF. They are a category 1 AIF. The very first thing that you need to know, right? We can see angel funds here in the category 1. They are also pooling money. These are the AIF. Every AIF is doing what? They are pooling money from the angel investors. They are pooling money from the angel investors. Please do remember this thing. Now what are angel investors? Now it's nowhere related to angels, right? What you are thinking, guys. So what happens is, let's suppose I started a early age startup. Okay, I started a business and it's a early age startup. I'm in the very initial time period of my business. So I need capital. Let's suppose somebody from my family or a high net worth individual has offered me 1 crore, 2 crore worth of capital. So he or she will be as good as an angel for me, right? That's why we call them angel investors. Why? Because they are investing in my early age startup. So they are just acting as an angel for the company as a whole, for the business, right? So basically they are a group of people who are investing their money in the early age startup. That's what angel investor is all about, right? And angel funds are in category 1 AIF. Okay. So now SEBI has revised the criteria here. We need to know the revised criteria. Who are the eligible investors? Funds raising by angel funds. If you are raising funds via angel funds, who will be the eligible investors? Only accredited investors will be able to contribute now. Only accredited investors will be able to contribute now. I'll be telling you who are the accredited investors, okay? So that's a big change, I can say. Only accredited investors can now contribute in this kind of category, right? And what is accredited investors? Basically, they are nothing but individuals and entities only who are meeting a particular financial or net worth criteria as defined by SEBI, right? So if a particular individual or a firm is crossing the limit of net worth stated by SEBI, you will be an accredited investor. Basically, they qualify, SEBI is qualifying them to take high risk in the market. Why? Because they are having huge amount of capital. So obviously, those who are having the huge amount of capital can definitely take high risky bets. This is just done to protect the retailers. Basically, they were also the non-accredited investors who don't have so much of money. They are also putting their money at risk by investing in these kind of funds. So now SEBI has restricted only to the accredited investors. And who can be an accredited investor? A business entity or an institution should be having a net worth of 25 crore to become an accredited investor, okay? Similarly, if you are an individual, you will be treated as a accredited investor if your liquid net worth is at least of 5 crore and the total annual gross of 50 lakhs is to be maintained here in this kind of arrangement. So you need to have money to become accredited investor, then only SEBI will be allowing you to take high amount of risk here, right? So the very first criteria, eligible investors are now only accredited investors. Here we can see that clearly. I have pasted the screenshots from the circular as well so that you can have a quick look at the circular. Why? Because if I don't paste the screenshot from the circular, लगेगा कि अरे सर कहीं आपने summarize manner में तो नहीं पढ़ाया, right? So that's why I have covered each and everything. We are going to discuss this thing in a very detailed manner, okay? And definitely I'll try to make it exam oriented only, because at the end of the day, it makes no sense to read each and everything in a very detailed manner. We will be reading those things only that can that are having a high chance of coming in your examination, right? Otherwise there is a lot to read. It can be a 1 hour video as well on this particular topic, but that's not required. We need to keep it exam oriented. Applicability based on a registration date. So newly registered angel funds, let's suppose there is a newly registered angel fund, you can onboard only the investments from the accredited investors. Why? Because now there is a restriction from SEBI side in this particular circular. If you are opening a new angel fund, you are an AIF, you have opened a new angel fund, category 1 AIF, you can only take money from the accredited investors. That is the very first thing. Existing angel funds. What about existing angel funds who have already taken funding from the non-accredited investor? What they need to do is they need to transition till 8th of September 2026, right? So till the next year, it's close to 1 year from now. So you are guys required to transition slowly. You can accept up to only 200 non-accredited investors. So only 200 non-accredited investors can be there in your fund, right? Post this date, post this particular date, 10th of September, you won't be able to take any contribution from the non-accredited investor, ठीक है? इस डेट के बाद आप किसी भी accredited investor, non-accredited investor के से पैसा नहीं लेने वाले, okay? Clearly written here. After 8th of September 2026, you cannot exceed the contribution from the non-accredited investor here, okay? So that's the bare minimum criteria. And the existing investments by the non-accredited investors remain valid as per the original PPM. Now what is PPM? Private Placement Memorandum, a document जो कि पहले आपको दिया होगा एक document, उसी की बेस पे आपने अप्लाई किया होगा, right? First closure requirement. Now what is this first closure requirement? Let's try to understand it. पहले let's understand what is first closure requirement. So it's basically a point in time where the AIF raises the minimum committed capital from the investor, right? I'm just reading the stated definition here. The point of time where the AIF raises the minimum committed capital. Let's suppose a AIF needs to raise 20 crore, say for example. So that's a point of time. What is the first closure? The date when I'm able to achieve the landmark of 20 crore, right? So it's a point in time where the AIF raises the minimum committed capital from the investor. If the AIF is able to invest the bare minimum committed capital, then that is called as the first closure, right? That is called as the first closure. Now first closure requirement is there in this particular circular. minimum 5 accredited investors must be onboarded before the first closure. Once you are done with the first closure, before the first closure, at least have a 5 AI. Okay, at least have a 5 accredited investors here, at least have 5 AI. That's the bare minimum requirement. Timelines: declare the first closure within 12 months of the SEBI communication taking the PPM. So once you are done with the private placement memorandum, you need to close it within 12 months of the SEBI communication. You need to close it within 12 months. So 12 महीने के अंदर you need to close the first closure, right? That's the bare minimum requirement. Existing angel funds with no first closure must comply by 8th of September 2026. Those funds that are already listed, that are already operating in the market, right? They don't have to comply with this particular thing. Why? Because they are already there. They are already doing the business. So they need to comply with all the requirements by 8th of September 2026. So 8th of September 2026 is the one of the important date, right? Rest of the new entities need to conclude the first closure by 12 months, right? And you need to onboard at least minimum 5 AI, right? Accredited investor before the first closure. So please do remember the limit. For those who are thinking like what can be important for in this particular circular, first thing, angel funds are part of category 1 AIF, the very first thing, right? Then you need to know the meaning of what accredited investor is all about. You need to know that only AI investors are now eligible investors here in this particular category, right? Then these number of investors limit, right? 200 non-accredited investors can be there for the existing angel funds. If you are a newly established angel fund, then no need to take from the non-AI investors, take only from the AI investors, right? So these dates and these numbers can be very, very important for your upcoming RBI Grade B examination, right? So what is PPM? Private placement memorandum is nothing but a detailed offer document, right? Whenever we are launching a fund or whenever we are launching any kind of thing, we always give a placement memorandum, right? A document having all the things related to where your money will be going, what is the risk involved, what is the return expectation, how the fund structure is there, and everything related to the fund, right? Investment by the angel fund. No scheme structure. Angel funds cannot launch a separate scheme structure. So what used to happen earlier is the angel funds used to launch different schemes. Now angel funds cannot launch separate schemes. The investment will be made directly by the fund only. So the accredited investors will be investing directly the money in the angel fund rather than investing in different schemes of the angel funds, right? This is a new update again. This is a new update again, right? Then if I talk about the term sheet filing, then no need to file the term sheet with SEBI now, right? No need to file the term sheet with SEBI now. You can maintain the term sheet internally only, including list of all the investors and contribution per investor, right? So term sheet is a document having each and every information related to the fund and the investors, right? So now you are able to maintain the term sheet internally only, no need to file it with SEBI. Then follow on investment in existing company. Let's suppose I am an accredited investor. I have invested in a particular company. I have invested in a particular company that used to be a startup. Now it has grown into a full-fledged company. It is no more a startup, right? And I want to invest again in that company. Earlier I have invested X amount. Now I want to invest more and more in that particular company. So that's called as follow on investment, right? Otherwise, if I am investing in for the first time, that would be initial investment. This is follow on investment in an existing company, which is not at all a startup now. It used to be a startup, but as of now, it is not at all a startup, right? Allowed if you follow these conditions. Shareholding after the new investment, let's suppose I invested more, must not exceed the pre-issue shareholding. Let's suppose I was having the 10% shareholding in this particular company. So my shareholding should not cross 10% even after the fresh issue. Even after the fresh investment, my shareholding must not cross 10%, right? Say for example, just for the sake of simplicity, I was having 1000 shares out of 10,000 shares. So the total was 10,000 shares. I was having 1000 shares in this company. So that's 10%, right? Now this company is issuing 1000 more shares. So 10,000 shares. So they already have 1000 more shares they are issuing. So what I can do is I can subscribe for 100 more shares. Again, my shareholding will be 10% only, right? So my shareholding cannot exceed the prior issue shareholding. That is the bare minimum criteria they have inserted. The total investment cap in one company should be at most 25 crore, including all the rounds. No matter how many rounds the company is raising, the total investment cap in one single company will be 25 crore. Will be 25 crore. So please do remember this number. Can be important for your exam. Okay, can be important for your exam. And only the original investors can participate in the follow-on round. That too on a pro rata based basis to the original contribution. They can only contribute. They can only involved on a pro rata basis, right, to the original contribution. So whatever they have contributed on a pro rata basis, they'll be getting the shareholding as well. They'll be getting the adequate right as well on a pro rata basis. What is pro rata meaning? It's nothing but proportional, right? On a proportionate basis, they'll be getting. Lock-in period. There is a standard lock-in period of 1 year. Whenever you are making the investment, you need to wait for at least 1 year because that's the bare minimum lock-in. However, there will be a reduced lock-in requirement up to 6 months. You can also exit up to 6 months through a third party sale. Let's suppose I want to exit and I'm selling my rights to someone else. I am selling my units to someone else. So that's possible. That's possible, right? However, I cannot ask the fund to buy back my shares, or a promoter buyout won't be possible. I need to sell it to a third party, right? I need to sell it to a third party, a friend or anyone whom I can find in the market. So in that case, there will be a reduced lock-in requirement of 6 months. I can even exit in 6 months, after 6 months. But if I am not able to sell to the third party, there will be a standard lock-in requirement of at least 1 year. Overseas investments. Can these angel funds, are they allowed to invest in the overseas securities as well? Let's suppose this is an angel fund. Now, can they invest in different markets like US, China, Taiwan, or any other country? Yes, they can invest, but there is a limit. 25% cap on the total investment. Whatever your total investment is there, you can invest maximum up to 25% of your total investment in the overseas investments. That's the bare minimum. Again, can be important. Okay. Now, sir, how questions will be asked in the examination? They can definitely give you a para-based question in the RBI Grade B examination, right? And they can ask you questions from that para-based question, right? Even if it's coming in the phase 1, then also they can ask you certain limits that we just discussed, right? So at the end of the session, I'll be giving you a tabular summary as well for you guys to quickly revise, right? Because I know that there are too many things that you need to cover, so no pressure at all. I'll be giving you a tabular summary as well. Defined allocation methodology. So there should be clearly defined methodology in your memorandum document basically, and you need to strictly adhere to that methodology, right? Whatever process you have stated in that particular document, you need to adhere to, you need to strictly follow that particular methodology only, right? So guys, that's the bare minimum criteria. Again, we are having the pro rata rights in the return as well. So let's suppose I am a investor, I am investing in a particular company, so I'll be getting a pro rata rights as well, proportional rights as well, right? I need to have proportionate right as well. So investors must get investment rights and proceeds pro rata to their contribution. If I am investing 10% of that particular corpus, I need to get rights of at least 10%. I need to share profits. They need to share profits with me up to 10% and so on. However, if I want to share my profit with any manager, sponsor, employee, director, or the fund manager, I can do so. That is the bare minimum exception, right? That is the bare minimum exception here. Let's suppose I have invested 10% in a particular company, and now I'll be entitled to all the profits का 10%, right? That's called as pro rata, proportionate. 10% invest किया तो 10% तो लूँगा ना profit का. Now I can share the profit with any kind of fund manager, sponsor, employee or director of the company at my own will. तो उसमें से मैंने कुछ दे दिया उनको, बाकी का मैंने रख लिया, तो वो चीज़ चलेगी. बाकी pro rata यहाँ पे strictly follow होगा, right? Classification, category classification, the existing angel funds का clear classification will be category 1 AIF angel funds. Now they are no longer a subcategory of the venture capital fund. कभी बार क्या होता था, उनको सब कैटेगरी बना दिया जाता था एंजल वेंचर कैपिटल फंड का. नाउ देयर इज अ क्लियर कट statement here in this particular circular that you need to be a category 1 angel fund classification only. You need to be in the classification of category 1 AIF angel funds only. Important. Annual audit applicability. Now your fund needs to get audited as well by a professional. So there is a annual audit compliance requirement as well here. Your total investment, if your total investment is exceeding 100 crore, you need to get your books of accounts audited. You need to get your financial statements audited. That can be important. Okay, that can be important. Okay. So rest of the things are more of a procedural related, right? The circular is effective immediately, right? The circular is effective immediately, and here is the summary table I was talking about. So all the things it's mentioned here, except I think that 200 non-accredited investors wala thing, right? So you can mention this by downloading the PDF. Just have a quick mention about the 200 non-accredited investor wala kind also. That one I have missed. Otherwise I have covered each and everything, like what is the audit threshold, what is the lock-in rule, right? What is the cap, the type of investors, overseas investment limit, everything is already mentioned here. Okay, so you need to learn it in a crisp manner, guys, because we are having too many SEBI circulars, RBI circulars. So whatever things I am teaching you, please do it very well. Can be important for your examination. And if you haven't given the RBI Grade B readiness test, you can attempt these tests, 10 questions, and you will be getting a personalized report card plus suggestions from team Oliveboard, and you can attempt the previous year question paper as well on our website. 2024 wala paper is completely free of you for you guys. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. Bye bye, take care, see you soon.